Hi, I'm Father Jim Martin, author of My Life with the Saints and associate editor of America magazine. We've been talking about different ways to pray, and I'd like to talk about a popular Catholic way to pray called the Rosary. Now, a lot of people sometimes dismiss the Rosary or belittle it as a kind of lower way of praying, but I always like to think of what my spiritual director told me, which was that he was asking his mother once, what happens when you pray the Rosary? And she said, I look at God and God looks at me. So the Rosary can be a really important way to pray. This is my Rosary from my First Holy Communion. You can see it's like a little boy's Rosary. And this is the one I like to use now, which I got in Lourdes, the French shrine, a few years ago. Basically, there's lots of different ways of doing the Rosary, so please don't write in and say I'm doing it wrong. Normally, you start with the Apostles' Creed on the little crucifix, then you do an Our Father for the big bead, and then 3 Hail Marys for the small bead, and then a Glory be to the Father for this other big bead. And then you start these what are called decades, that's 10 Hail Marys, then you end with a Glory be, and then you do an Our Father for the big beads, and then you just keep doing it around. 10 Hail Marys, 1 Our Father, 10 Hail Marys, 1 Our Father. Now, each of those Hail Marys has what's called a mystery attached to it. There are the glorious mysteries, the joyful mysteries, the sorrowful mysteries, and then John Paul just added the luminous mysteries. And there's different mysteries, basically events from Mary's life for the glorious, joyful, and sorrowful, and events from Jesus' life that you can pray about when you are doing your decades of the Rosary. I would advise you to go online and find out what those mysteries are, because if I told you all of them, first of all, I can't remember them all. I have to look and check each day. It would take probably the whole video. So basically, there's a couple ways of doing the Rosary. First of all, you can use it almost as a mantra to sort of get in touch with God. As my friend's mother said, God looks at me and I look at God. And so it's just sort of a calming effect that can center you in a way, almost like a mantra. Another way is really to think carefully about the mysteries, to meditate on these aspects of Mary's life and Jesus' life when you're saying the Rosary. And this way you can kind of imagine yourself in the scene. We talked about Ignatian contemplation that way. My way of doing the Rosary is a little different. I actually, it's my little secret, I do the Nicene Creed, which is what we say at church, because I can never remember the Apostles' Creed. I leave out the Glory Bees. I know that's kind of heretical. And I know some people like to end with a Hail Holy Queen. I've also heard that there's a prayer to St. Michael, which I don't know either. So my way of doing the Rosary is basically to do it almost like a mantra, to use it to have something physical, to calm me down, to focus on the prayers, and to really get in touch with God in my deepest center. I also like to use it as intercessory prayer. I will usually pray a Rosary for somebody or for a special intention. And one last thing about the Rosary that I really like, someone told me a few years ago, you know the Hail Mary prayer. There's a part in the Hail Mary prayer where we say, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God. Now normally we say, pray for us sinners. A friend of mine says when she does the Rosary, she says, pray for, and she'll put in a person's name. Pray for my mother, pray for my father, pray for my husband, my children. And with each bead on the Rosary, each Hail Mary, she prays for a new person. So the Rosary, I think, is a very powerful and very ancient way of praying for Catholics, and I think it's a wonderful way that needs to be rediscovered. And if you try it all the time, maybe you could try new ways that I talked about. If you've never tried it, or think it might be a little too old-fashioned, you might see it as a new way to get in touch with God.